Hey, it's Francis, and I just came up with something that I wanted to record, and I thought I'd share the process with you. Let me just put the idea down real quick. All right, so I didn't want to keep going because I haven't practiced the idea too much, and I find that I'll fixate on the quality of the recording when I make a mistake. So when I'm writing a song, sometimes I'll just make something to loop, and I'll be happier with the result that way because I'll spend less time worrying about the quality of the recording. Because at the end of the day, why should I be good at playing something that I just came up with? So you'll notice that I'm using this keyboard here, which I don't play very often in these videos. And the reason for that is because it's not very flashy. I don't think it looks great on camera, especially at this angle. It's just a keyboard, right? And that keyboard is a digital Mellotron, which is a pretty uncommon instrument, all things considered. It's a sampler, and it has its own samples built into it. The original version of it would have used tapes. So each key would have triggered a tape, not a tape loop, because the sounds don't loop. They'll end after a certain amount of time. If we listen to it, there's the end of the sample. And the original instrument, when you release the key, would have reeled up the tape. Kind of a weird thing, but that's the technology that was used, and you know, they sounded cool, so I guess there's nothing wrong with it. I love the Mellotron, and I wanted one for a long time, and when I saw that there was a digital version of it, I got really tempted. And you know, they're pretty expensive, so it took me a long time to decide on one, and I actually didn't feel like I could validate it until I tried playing one in person. And you know what? It's one of the most inspiring instruments I've ever touched, and I have written so much music using it, and I love it. And I think that ends up being really important, finding instruments that you really connect with. So whether it's a specific guitar or a trumpet, having an instrument that you are inspired to pick up and play is probably more important than having an instrument that's like the best one or high quality or something like that. I just have expensive taste, I guess. So these things are mostly famous for string sounds and flute sounds and choir sounds. A lot of 1970s progressive rock recordings used them pretty heavily. Some more famous pop groups like the Beatles utilize them quite a bit. Strawberry Fields Forever is a great example of the Mellotron flute sound, and you can find way too many videos of other people playing that song, so I won't even bother to learn it and play it for you. But I'll play you a string sound. Oh God, I just really could play that all day, and sometimes I do. And you know what? I think I'm going to use that string sound next in this recording. And let me switch my view to Reaper so you can see what it looks like recording with an instrument that's doing mostly audio when it's a keyboard instrument. Sometimes I'll take a MIDI output and record MIDI simultaneously from this instrument or from a synth. But in this case, I'm not going to worry about that. I don't plan on running these sounds through something else later, so I'll just use it for audio and end up with something like this. I find that I'll get a cleaner loop sometimes if I play that next chord. You can see how the transient sort of overlaps. That's, I mean, my tendency to play a bit early sometimes. Looks like I played a bit early here too. So it's consistent, at least, right? So I'm going to slice that off in two places and see if it loops cleanly. Pretty good. So as a starting point, I'm just going to make this a looping track, and I'm going to try bringing in strings after 1 or 2 repetitions. For the purposes of writing it, I'll probably start after 1, just to make the video a bit shorter. So my primary inspiration for this, well, the things I've been listening to today were, I was listening to Tangerine Dream this morning, and I was listening to the Minecraft soundtrack. And both of those are, I think, wonderful places to hear ambient or sort of like background music that can like sort of leave the background, envelop you, captivate you. And the next thing you know, you've been sitting on the couch staring at the wall for 3 hours. It's my favorite kind of music. So I'm going to try to go for some Minecraft vibes here. And as someone who's not much of a Minecraft player, I probably won't succeed, but I'm hoping that that means that I'll end up with something more original sounding. Maybe it's a little bit more of my sound blended in with that inspiration. Let's see here. You know what? I better record on a new track. So I think I was in the key of C, and something that I liked about this progression, and the reason I thought it was worth keeping, is that it uses a couple of changes that are relatively uncommon without sounding too weird. The first one being that, which is, I mean, if we're in the key of C, we're borrowing a chord from C minor, even though we started with a C major. And we sort of end up in C minor in some other parts of the progression. So even though it's a short progression, it sort of takes us on a journey real quick, which I like. One of these days, maybe I'll have to do some videos on basic music theory concepts. I reference things like the names of chords and minor keys, major keys, things like that in my videos. And usually I'll tell people to go somewhere else to learn about those things. And you know, if you're interested in hearing more about that stuff from me, I'd be happy to do some videos on it. So let me know in the comments if that's something you'd be interested in. Anyway, as a starting point, I'm going to try to blend the strings in across the bar line here. And I'm going to fade them in. I think this is a strong point of the Mellotron. That volume control just feels so expressive. Not to mention that a Mellotron has essentially the equivalent of polyphonic aftertouch, which means that you can play all of your keys and then push down harder on one note in your arrangement, and that note by itself will get louder without making the whole chord louder, which I think can be very expressive and exciting. So I'm going to try to take advantage of that strength of the instrument and swell in some sampled, I think of them as tape strings. They're recorded to tape, and this is sort of a tape piano, I would think of it as. And it's a really lovely sound. It works great for sort of like lo-fi type genres, and quite a few of these samples are rather high fidelity actually. So just because something's on tape doesn't necessarily mean it's lo-fi, and that's a common misconception. There's some really high fidelity tape out there. You're going to start seeing tape hard drives soon. I've been seeing news stories about that, and I don't think that's fake, but I guess we'll see. So what's this last chord? Sort of a B flat major, I think. And then the first chord is a C. And if we add that B flat to a C, we end up with kind of a nice chord. It's a C7. And because we're not really in C major, and we were just starting on a C major chord, I think I might be able to get away with fading in a B flat as my first note here, and maybe swelling and growing it into full chords. So my next step in creating a song here is to just improvise. I'm just going to try stuff. I'm not the greatest keyboard player, but I know that with enough tries, I can get something that sounds pretty cool. So let's see what happens. So sometimes you get lucky and you get something that was pretty cool on the first try. I might keep that take. There was a little bit of questionable behavior. I think that I might have been off time somewhere, but I was really feeling that melody. I think it really came out better than I hoped. So I'm going to listen back to it. That's my next step without the click track because I'm not going to leave that in the final recording. Let's hear it. I'm going to make a marker here because that's where the rhythm got off. Listen to that. Another marker here. I feel like it's too late to feel good with that relatively early first piano note. So that's the trick right here. Part of the reason I like borrowing that chord from minor is because it shares one note with the C major. That's I think that's called a chromatic mediant. If you're a music theory nerd and you know that that's correct or incorrect, can you confirm that for me? I haven't taken a music theory class in years, but having that C sort of blend across that bar line and fade out really feels good. But you know what? I really liked that take aside from those two markers. And I think what I'm going to do is fix it. I'm going to edit. I'm going to do some sound editing here. Let's just see what happens. Back in the day, you had to cut tapes and paste them together and play it back at variable speed and stuff like that. And these days, you know, we have a lot of wonderful luxuries. And digital audio editing is one of them. So let's see what I can do here. I think that I'm going to make an incision in 2 places and maybe 3 places. And on Reaper, if you hold Alt, you get this wonderful cursor, which is going to shift things around. And that feels good, except for this horrible pop that is caused by the cycle of the waveform becoming interrupted. You can zoom in and sort of see that they're, I mean, it's hard to tell, but whatever. You can imagine that the pop is being caused by the waveform not matching up. And that's pretty easily solved with a simple crossfade. So let's see what happens if I put that crossfade in. Slightly larger crossfade than that. Crossfade the other way. A little bit less. This might be harder than I thought. I thought it was just going to work. Okay, whatever. I'm not going to worry about it any more than that. I'll clean it up later. Again here, that note, I want it to be a little bit to the left. I guess I'm going to shrink those back down. And I'm going to do this. Oh, you know what? I'm going to stretch this one out as well. I think this will probably work better. Yeah, that's pretty good. And I'm not hearing much of a pop there, so I'm going to leave it alone. Great. As a starting point, I think this is working pretty well as a song. And I think what I might do is, you know, concede that I probably will end up wanting this to start a little bit later. Maybe I'll want this to loop a little bit more. And maybe I'll make something else happen later on. Something that often happens to Mellotrons in post-production is the addition of reverb. The sounds are quite dry, which is off-putting to some people. I think they work really well. They cut through in a really sort of a bizarre way. And if you want your samples to have this sort of otherworldly, almost synth-like element, I think that Mellotrons do a really good job of that. And you don't really need a real, like the real Mellotron samples, whatever. A lot of companies will create sample libraries that are made from Mellotrons, and sometimes a sample made from a taped Mellotron is going to be better than a digital Mellotron because it's going to do a different thing. At the end of the day, it's the sound you get at the end that matters. It's not really how you get there. And I find that this gets me there more often than a Mellotron sample. I'm trying to think of a recording I've used a Mellotron sample. I think there's some stuff on one of the Old Man Wizard records that has a sampled Mellotron instead of like a true Mellotron sample. A lot of people wouldn't even consider the digital ones real because they don't have actual tapes in them. But you know, apples and oranges, or whatever the saying is. Do whatever makes you happy, as long as you don't hurt anyone while you're at it. And having said that, I'm gonna do another loop of this, and I'm gonna throw some reverb on the track. I'm gonna do this on a send, so this is just going to be my reverb channel, and I'm gonna use the Abbey Road plates. I really like this reverb. It's not cheap, but it's not terribly expensive either. As with all the Waves plugins, I'll say this almost anytime I use them in a video, buy them when they're on sale. They go on sale pretty frequently, and when they do, they cost a lot less. So just so you know, what you see is generally not what you get as far as the price goes. I think there's like a preset in here designed for strings. I'm not totally sure. I'm just going to look through this. Sure, Lush strings 4. Let's just pick one of these and see what happens. I want to make sure that I'm 100% wet because I'm going to send the strings to this track. So I don't really want to blend the dry sound into my reverb channel, since I already have the dry sound on my Mellotron channel. And in Reaper, it's pretty easy to do this type of routing. You would just click and drag to the track, and you say, how much do you want to send? Pretty simple. Let's just hear what it sounds like. Loud, but good. I'm gonna grab all of these and pull them down a bit. Hopefully that wasn't too much. -9. Let's go to -6 or so. I think that sounds lovely. As you saw, I ended up taking the Mellotron piano, which I'll name now, and sending that to the same reverb because I felt like it just wasn't taking up as much space as it could. Just like... This is sort of making me want to adjust the tempo even. I was thinking maybe it would be cool to take all of this stuff and, you know, degrade the quality even more by stretching it out. I wonder what it would sound like really slow. So something that happens with the Mellotron, since it's a tape sample, is that when you slow it down, it sort of warbles a little bit. The pitch is variable, which I think is a lovely sound. And you know, maybe I'll come back and do that, but I'm going to do a bit more work on the track first. I also want to point out that a lot of Mellotrons will be modified to have a playback the speed of the tape at half speed, which is going to cause the pitch to be in tune but an octave lower. And you can do that on these digital Mellotrons as well. So there's a switch that emulates the half tape speed, which I think sounds just absolutely lovely. And you'll recognize this from my music if you've listened to my solo recordings. Let me just play for you on the string patch with that reverb and the half speed. And just hold on to your seats because this gets really, really beautiful, even with just a few notes. Right? It's just such a cool sound. Whenever I do something like that at a show, people will be like, "Oh, you sound like Vangelis or something," or Vangelis. I don't know how to say his name. But it's not. I mean, no way, not quite there. But it does have that sort of warble that you get from a really good patching on a CS80. If you don't know what a CS80 is, look it up. It's the Blade Runner synth is kind of like what it's known for, and you get these wonderful like warbly, you know. Again, it's actually the polyphonic aftertouch thing that synthesizer has in common with this one, where you can sort of play two notes and get like a different accentuation of which finger you're holding down harder, and that creates these really, really expressive, beautiful experiences that that I think are accented and ornamented by something like a CS80 even more than a Mellotron, because you can do things like more vibrato the harder you push down the note, or more filtering or less filtering, whatever it might be. And, you know, I would love to have one, but look up the price of those damn things. Oh my God. Someone maybe one day will give me enough money so I can buy something like a Deckard Stream, which is a very similar synthesizer that's quite a bit more affordable, although still way more than I have to spend on synths today, which is disappointing because I'm going to buy one of those eventually. Anyway, I digress. I digress hard, and I'm not going to apologize for that because I had fun, and I hope you had fun listening. So I'm going to go back to this piano patch, and you know what? Let's see what the piano sounds like when it's on half speed. Whew. That's pretty neat, actually, isn't it? What would happen if I switched from one part to another, just like that? I'm going to bring this click back in. And let's, whatever. Who knows? My idea is that that might sound cool as a B section to this song. I'm going to have to do a little bit of editing here and a little crossfade. And I think that might work. Also, I mean, I got a mechanical keyboard. I hope no one's being bothered by this. I haven't really checked to see how loud the damn thing is, but everyone's been talking about them, and I hated my keyboard, so I got a new one. And here we are, probably way too noisy. Ooh, oh yeah. Kind of works. I think I like it, you know? I don't like that though. I think I might just loop. You know what? What if I just loop this? Will anyone get mad at me? Let's find out. Let me know in the comments if you're mad at me. And I'll do an impression of, who's that wrestler? Macho Man Randy Savage, and say like, the cream rises to the top. I won't do that. Maybe I will. PayPal me $1,000 and I will do a really good job with it. You know what? This is the piece I'm going to loop instead. And that comes out to a pretty even amount of space. And I think that's where the looping point is. Yeah, and then you know what can happen here is I'll go back to this thing. I'll sort of treat it as an A theme. How's that? A and B. Maybe this will sound cool blended. Yeah, that's actually neat. It almost has the vibe of the tape speed changing, which I might actually want. I'm gonna do this. I can reach a 10th. Good thing my hands are big. I didn't have a plan. I'm gonna see if I can blend that in somehow. I really didn't have a plan at all. This is gonna be weird, but it sounds cool. I don't think I expected that to sound cool, but here we are. You know what? I also want this string thing to let us know we're changing back. Where were we? Oh, it's this thing here. Yeah, I like that. I'm into it. And I think that what I want to do is have something happen in the strings over the top of this part. Let's see how that feels and see where this takes us. That's, it's a new chord. We're going to either a C sharp major or a D flat major, depending on how you analyze it. Those are the same chord in, you know, to our ears on a keyboard at least. So don't worry about it too much. Something like that might be cool. I might fade in on a G. because I feel like that ends up feeling like a sharp 11 in the chord if you're a nerd. Let's see what happens. No, not that last piece. That was I shouldn't have played that. I was on a roll there, I think. A lot of that sounded great, huh? Let's see. I like that. But I didn't like the take. So I'm going to figure out what those notes were. And what am I doing? Yeah, okay. I can do that again. I can do that better. That's what we have to tell ourselves when we're making a recording. I can do that better, but should I do that better? I think should I do that better is a better question, because otherwise you'll keep working on the same song for the rest of your life. And you know, you want to release stuff once in a while, or maybe show your friends, or work on something new. Let's see what happens. Find my starting pitch and be ready. That was late because I didn't have to click on. I'm going to blame something else. I maybe wanted more of a bend out. You can have this pitch bend. It's kind of like a drunken pitch bend. It's so cool. So I'm going to use the drunken pitch wheel. I'm just going to punch that in. Okay, let's see if that is editable. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Let's just see what happens here. I'm gonna try to find a nice little chop point, and yeah. Okay, let's listen to maybe the whole dang song, and I'll do some mixing and some editing, and who knows what else to it. Okay. I'll mute the click. And I'll be ready to mark stuff as I go, because, you know, it's a nice tool to have to be able to add little markers. And another thing that I'll say before we really get into the meat and potatoes of the song is that one of the fun things about using fancy pieces of gear is that they're usually, like, you know, mix ready. So they're gonna sound cool without any processing, really. You're not gonna have to EQ these sounds very much. It's always tempting to add delay to Mellotron. little bit more of the reverb on the strings than on the piano, I think. And I think I want to add another instrument to the song. Maybe just another Mellotron. Just to cover up the fact that that's just a straight up duplication. I really like, with looped music, replaying things instead of looping it. But it takes quite a long time, as you can imagine. Ooh. That really feels like you're getting a hug from the music. I'm glad I went there with it. You know, I'm really liking this. And I have to decide now if this is the last note. Tell you what, I won't be disappointed if that's the last note, but I think that I do want to add another instrument. And so you know what I'll do is I'll show off one more sound from the Mellotron. Let's see what we've got here. I said flutes are popular on Mellotrons, so let's hear a flute and let's create a part on a flute with Mellotron. Mellotron flute. This is the bass flute sound, which is my favorite flute on the Mellotron. You see what I mean? It's just like absolute magic. And let's, since everything else has got reverb, I'm going to feel like it sounds weird if it doesn't have any. Ooh, maybe that's too much. Maybe not. Okay, bit of reverb on the flute. And we want the flute to come in on that second repeat. And let's do that. Nice. This is a tritone. A delightful interval that is has this reputation of being dissonant because it has sort of a troubling history in the context of tuning systems that are now considered obsolete. A tritone is a lot less dissonant on a modern piano or guitar or something than it would have been at times when it was considered to be, you know, a band from church music, whatever, like devil's music, whatever they call it. Not very diabolical when it's in like every modern church song because it's part of a dominant 7 chord. And yeah, if you listen to a tritone on like in the wrong key, on a well-tempered instrument instead of on an equal tempered instrument, again, I'm outing myself as a huge like dork here, but I'm sure one or two of you will know what I'm talking about and know why Picardy thirds used to exist. Thirds used to be a lot more perfect than they are now, and tritones used to be a lot worse. So anyway, I'm going to start with that tritone. Just be like, here we go. Already on track. The thing is, when you're adding that third instrument, you start running into like every little hole in your arrangement and every hole in the melody you want to make. So there's a lot more notes that are going to feel like the wrong ones at this point. The first instrument, I have the outlook, the John Cage ethos of begin anywhere. Just start, put anything down, and then you'll have the ideas. I really started this video with only that first idea. That's all I had. And look where we are now. And the more you do it, the better you get at it. So just sit down, write down 4 words, and then you end up with a song in 5 minutes if you give yourself a prompt. If you don't have a goal and you don't have direction, you'll just write down 4 words and stare at the wall for 3 hours while you're listening to Tangerine Dream and Brian May's collab album that has like 470 views on YouTube because nobody knows about it, and it's really good. Okay, anyway. Do I fade it in? Let's see. If I got that perfect, that could be cool. What I'm going to do is look at it visually, and I'm zooming in on the waveform. Reaper is shift plus up, or shift up. I don't want to say plus. Shift and up. So let's see what happens. Didn't quite make it. Nope. I forgot that the phrase was twice as long as that. That first one sounds pretty good though, right? What does it sound like without the click? I can tolerate it. Let's go there. That's where we're going next. Let's do it. Pretty happy with that. You'll notice that I didn't feel like setting it to quick punch or whatever it's called on Reaper. I think that's the Pro Tools word. I bounce between DAWs a lot, and I think that maybe that says even more about how much I like Reaper, that I'm pretty much only using it when I'm given the choice of doing whatever I want at home. Yeah, try this thing out if you use FL, or if you use Logic or GarageBand or Audacity or Pro Tools or any of that stuff. I think it's worth giving Reaper a chance. I really love this piece of you know, whatever you call it, piece of code. Okay, I think the flute comes in on this repeat here. What was I doing? Something with a D flat, I think. Let's see what happens. Nope. I want this to be a bit more metronomic, so I'm going to listen to the click. Maybe it would be fun to blend over the bar line there. I want to have a visual representation of that phrase, I think, while I'm playing it, so I can look over and see where I am and recognize that this right here, I'm going to make a marker, is the beat where everything sort of changes back to normal. And I think that can be really helpful to give yourself visual aids when you record. My friend Andre calls it speed running a recording. He does speed runs of Bach pieces, by the way. You should watch his videos. I think that's where we're going with it, and I don't want to make this video too long, so I might not do a ton of fine-tuning, but I guess I'll, yeah, with this one I'll put the effort in of playing you out with what I end up with, whatever mix I end up with in this song. So anyway, God, this has been kind of a long video. I didn't expect to make it this long, but thanks a lot for watching, and if you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe, leave a comment, let me know what you're doing. A couple of people have hit me up and told me that they're releasing their first thing, and if that's one of you, that's awesome, and I can't wait to hear it. So anyway, keep making music. I'll see you next time.
Thank you.